Welcome to the Fire and Earth podcast with your hosts, Jason Mefford and Kathy Groover. Fire and Earth, giving you the keys to unlock your limitless potential.
Welcome to another episode of the Fire and Earth podcast. I'm your co-host, Jason Mefford.
And I am Kathy Groover. And I had a very human experience last week. I got up, I did the protocol with my phone, I did my connections, I did great, I did my crossword puzzle. Eric and I meditated using our app, and then I plugged in my phone. And who knew that was going to destroy my day? My phone died, it didn't acknowledge a battery, it kept cycling on and off, and my phone was just gone. And I got really pissed, and I got really impatient. And I'm Googling things, and I'm the crazy lady kind of kicked in, right? I had to go to this breathwork thing, and I wanted to And as I was doing this breathwork ceremony, knowing that the rest of my day was going to be going to Verizon and going to the Google store and going to, or the Apple store, and I was getting really frustrated with myself. And in my quest for enlightenment, self-actualization, self-realization, I was angry at that part of me that got so frustrated. I got really frustrated with my frustrated part. And I'm like, look, I'm above this. I meditate every day. I teach stress reduction. Who am I to freak out about something so stupid? I go get a new phone. Whatever. It's not the end of the world. No one died. I didn't I wasn't raped this morning. And I was so irritated with myself that I let that get to me. And then I got this very clear message during this breathwork thing that I am human, as much as that frustrates me, and that it's okay to have frustrations, human emotion, to get angry at something like that, because I am not perfect. And in this quest to be evolved and advanced on this planet, sometimes shit's gonna break. It's okay to get frustrated. And I realize I need to give that part of myself acceptance and a break. And I need to acknowledge that there are times that I am going to have a human reaction to something. Was it an overreaction? I don't know. I was frustrated. Cost me some money, cost me some time. Those are two things that are very precious. But I realized I need to give myself some patience and grace in that area. And so that was one of our little prompts today, was what parts of me are in need of self-love and acceptance. And that was one of them. I needed to really give myself a break last week.
Yeah, because I think we're often too hard on ourselves, like that, or we just allow. For me, when it feels like things come crashing down, it's not one big thing for me usually. It'll be like 10 little things that are just they're nothing. They're little nuances, little nits, or nits or gnats kind of a thing. But all of a sudden, when like 10 of them hit within a few minutes, it's like, right? And at that point, we just have to kind of give ourselves that grace and acceptance that, hey, we are human, and that's okay. Now, I think it's interesting too, because as we read that prompt, that experience for you came right in, and for me, it was kind of a different experience as well, and something else that's maybe kind of a nuance of this, because it starts off, what parts of me, and what I've started to learn more and more. And we talked before about things like ego states,
internal family systems,
internal family,
cards, and
all that stuff, right? So the older I'm getting, the more I'm realizing or understanding the parts of me, and that while I consciously sit here and think, oh, I'm Jason, I am this person, I am this many years old, I weigh this much, I was born here, I'm dressed like this, I see myself in the mirror. Well, consciously, I think I'm a whole part, but there are many, 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 many parts of me, right? So spiritually, psyche, states, archetypes, use different words that you want to from kind of that side.
Yep.
But I'm also a lot of parts in this meat suit that I'm in too, right? It's just like, my fingernails, my finger, a muscle, cells in my body, right? My stomach, my back, right?
Mhm.
That there are actually all these different parts of me that sometimes don't get attention or that I don't actually think about. And so I'll give you my
Yeah.
example was yesterday there were some different things that kind of happened energetically for me. And sometimes when that happens, one thing that shows up for me is I get pain in between my shoulder blades.
Mm.
Okay. Because that's where I kind of carry weight. And again, I'm not talking about, lifts and weights, but
Yeah, yeah.
energetically, emotionally kind of thing. And so I could tell that was kind of coming on again. And I was taking a little break. I was sitting out on the porch and just had the thought, I need to go in and use the massager on my back,
Mm.
right? Because it's starting to kind of tighten up. I need to love my back. I need to take care of my back. It's in need of some self-care, some self-love, some
Mhm.
acceptance, right?
Yep.
And so, I go in, I lay down on the bed, I get I've got this little hand
Hmm.
massager kind of thing. It's really heavy, so it like, sits on your back and you just have to kind of move it like this, right? And it's
Mhm.
something that I can do by myself. And
Yep.
so I go in, lay down on the bed, I start doing it, and all of a sudden my partner comes in and takes it from me. And I know she's in the middle of getting ready to do something else. And so I'm like, no, 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 it's okay. I can do this myself. And she's like, no, let it be. Right. And so she started kind of intuitively moving it where it felt like it needed to go. And obviously in
Mhm.
my back, that's where I was dealing with it. But all of a sudden she's moving it all around and I'm laying on my stomach. Right. So my legs or my hamstrings and my calves are up
Yep.
and she moves down, she goes over my butt, and again that's like a pleasure pain kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, from a massage standpoint, but most of the time we don't think about or give love to our butt. Well, this thing, I'm sitting on it all day and it doesn't complain
One
about
of the
it.
largest muscles in the body, the
Yeah,
glutes.
and maybe I can give it some love, right? Even just in thought. But anyway, so the massager went down there. And it was kind of like, whoa, oh yeah, that feels really good. And then all of a sudden she starts to go down my leg. And it was this intense
Mm.
pleasure pain. Like I knew I needed it, but I wanted to like scream and jump off the bed at the same point.
Mhm.
So she goes down the one leg, and the whole time I'm just release, 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 right? But both legs were that way,
Yeah.
which again shows me that, yeah, I knew to go in and to give my back, right, some self-love.
Yep.
Um, but there are other parts of my body that
Mm.
I didn't realize needed that. And again,
Yeah.
that can come from, physical sensation like massaging. It can even come from just placing your attention or talking to that part of your body
Yeah.
or focusing in on it like a body scan meditation,
Yep.
right? Because there's a lot of parts to our body that we just don't really appreciate the gratitude for. It's like your feet. Your
Oh
poor feet
God.
are carrying
I'm
you around
literally
all the
sitting here
time.
rubbing my foot right now.
Oh, well, and you talked before about, you got that hand
Hand
massager
massager. But yeah, I've
as
got my
well,
foot on my lap and I've got my
rubbing it around.
rubbing my foot. Yeah. So you took it as the physical parts and I took it as more like ego state parts. That's so funny.
Yeah, well, but I
It's like
think
words
both.
matter or something.
Oh yeah, maybe we just talked about that before.
We
Yeah,
did.
but it's interesting because, like I said, I mean, to me, it's um, seeing myself both physically and kind of emotionally or spiritually
Hmm.
in all those different ways is kind of interesting. And it's not, there's 88 keys on the piano, right? And so, an analogy, if we all think of ourselves as kind of a piano, there's lots of different notes that we can play. And sometimes, C sharp shows up, and C5 sharp. There we go. So we know where we're at on the piano, right? And sometimes maybe, 2 A flat shows up. That's just
I don't know
think
what
about it
any of
on,
that is.
you don't know what any of that means. Okay.
I got
Anyway,
as far as piano. That's as far as I got.
it's where you're at on the piano, right?
Cool.
So the higher and lower notes. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
but all of those notes are beautiful and have their place,
Yep.
right? And so just like our ego states, or we're a culmination of not only this life, right? And so the 5-year-old Jason sometimes wants to show up, right? When certain things happen. Sometimes the 30-year-old Jason wants to show up, but it even goes further back than that, from past or previous lives as well, that we're carrying through all these different personalities as well, right? And so sometimes when a certain personality shows up, we don't like it.
Yeah.
But we need to, again, I'm seeing that in the same way of the different parts
Hmm.
of, hey, when that ego state shows up, when that archetype shows up, well, let's kind of control it. Let's use it in its intended purpose. Because again, even though we might not use a certain key on the piano very often, depending on what we'd like to play,
Hmm.
all of the keys are necessary to be able to create all the different kinds of music.
Yep.
And you only play that note when it's appropriate to play that note as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. But it was, yeah, it was just such a great question, because it's the acceptance part too, right? It's like, I have to accept that there is still this part of me that got really frustrated with the phone situation. And it ended up taking me 3 hours. So all the stuff that I had planned on Saturday, which was my one day off to like just do the things, got hijacked with technology, which, it would kind of piss anybody off. I ended up meeting some cool people. It ended up being fine, but it was 3 hours that I hadn't planned on, so
Mhm.
thank God I had a breathwork ceremony that day
Yeah.
to set my
Well,
shit straight.
to help you kind of put things back in perspective, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a good thing for all of us to do, that I need to do more of.
Yeah.
That's why things like a body scan meditation is so valuable, because you're all of a sudden now placing awareness on different parts of your body,
Right.
right?
Well,
Most of the time during the normal day, we don't do that.
no, well, we rent a car, and what's the first thing we do, right? We take the little check sheet and we walk around and we look for every scratch, every ding, every dent, because we're not going to pay for that. But when do we do that with our bodies? I have so many clients come to my office and I say, "How are you feeling today?" "Oh, I don't know. Anything hurt?" "Yeah." "What?" "My neck." Point to it. "Okay, that's your shoulder." Or they'll do this. "This hurts." And I'm like, I can't see through you. Like, turn around. And you're pointing to behind your, I don't know what you're pointing at. So it's like we tend to be, from going back to the physical perspective, since I work with this all day, most people are so clueless as to what's happening in their own bodies. And I encourage people to take like 2 minutes a day, whether it's when you're brushing your teeth, whether you're in the shower, scan yourself, see, so that when your doctor says, "How long has your shoulder felt like that?" you have an answer. Because if you don't know how you're doing, then I can't help you, and Jason can't help you, and your doctor can't help you, and no one can give you assistance with these parts, physical and, energetic, emotional, if you don't know what they are. So get to know yourself, know thyself.
Well, one of the first axioms of the codes of conduct from Delphi: know thyself. And
Mhm.
again, that concept comes up over all the ancient traditions as well.
Yeah.
And it's one of the first maxims, is to know yourself.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I think too, for, I like that idea of taking 2 minutes a day, right? Again, it's not a lot of time, and if you already have certain practices like meditation or different things that you're doing, that's a perfect time to take a few minutes and just go, how am I feeling?
Yeah.
Right? Because again, I mean, and you see this a lot physically with your clients that come in, but a lot of times it's this, a part of you will kind of tap on you, like,
Mhm.
hey, hey, hey,
Stop
hey,
it.
hey, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, you're not paying attention to me. Boom.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden you have a Charlie horse in your calf or
Yep.
something
Let's
like
twist
that.
that ankle. Let's get the headache. Let's clench the jaw. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so taking some time to acknowledge it, to give some, self-love, some acceptance, before it gets to that point of it kind of screaming at you
Yep.
is always a good thing too.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. So go out, know thyself, look at those parts of you, the physical parts and the parts, the ego state parts, the internal family system parts that need that, not necessarily healing, right? We're not talking about healing them. We're talking about loving them and just accepting that those are aspects of yourself. Just one last thing before, and then we go. I had a client who had really bad neck problems, like just multi-levels of degenerative disc. She wasn't a candidate for surgery, and she loved to swim. And as she was swimming, she would be so pissed that her neck hurt that she couldn't do the stroke the way she wanted to. And she would, the stupid neck, this dumb neck. And I said, what happens when you're swimming if you praise your neck and you say thank you and I appreciate my neck? And and she started to shift her perspective and started to appreciate that part of herself. And her pain started to decrease a little bit. She had a little more range of motion, right? Because what we resist persists. And so her shifting that perspective on it, first of all, put her in a better mood. She swam better. It was more enjoyable for herself. And, if you were constantly telling me how stupid I was, I'd be acting up too. So it's like, shift that, accept it, and put some love on that part and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because just like if you were, again, thinking about this, like with a relationship, right? If I'm sitting here telling Kathy, oh, Kathy's stupid. Kathy, I can't believe you did that. Oh, Kathy, yeah, she would, right? And so if I'm treating her that way, it's obviously going to have an effect on the relationship. Well, start seeing the other parts of you, or the smaller parts of you, in the same way.
Yep.
So it's no surprise at all that when she stopped, kind of criticizing her neck and instead feeling grateful for it, well, that's strengthening her relationship with the neck,
Yep.
and things work out.
Yep. She shifted
So
everything. Cool. Know thyself.
know
Self-love and
thyself.
appreciation. All right. I am Kathy Groover. I can be reached at kathygruver.com.
And I'm Jason Mefford. I can be reached at jasonmefford.com. Go out, have a great week, and get to know the little pieces and parts of yourself. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Fire and Earth Podcast. See ya.